Teacher Hangout. My name is David Hart, and we're going to do our question Q&A standard format and try and see if we can come up with some good ideas, solutions, problems, whatever. All right, so what I'll do is I will start from on my screen. I might start from the right. Shane, have you got something that you would like to bring to the table today?
Yes.
Yep.
Hi. Sorry, it always takes a second to unmute myself. Yeah, well, I guess the big thing that's going on with me at the moment is I'm trying to move my school. I'm trying to move it somewhere else because I've decided I can't stay where I am.
Yep.
I'm sure there was a question. Yeah, a relocation. Yeah. Basically, the place I'm in just isn't suitable, and I only moved in there because I was having a baby and desperately needed to move out of my house.
Yeah.
And that was basically the only place that would rent to me that I could afford. But realistically, I can't afford it. So, so I'm moving. I'm moving premises, and I'm facing like a lot of opposition, like the same thing I did last year when I moved into this place, and I'm just having a really hard time dealing with landlords and realtor agents because they never seem to take me seriously, and I think, I don't know if there's like, if I'm not putting on the right attitude or what, but there's, you know, people just not getting back to me or like stringing me along, and I'm finding it really frustrating just like dealing with these people, and it's been a huge source of stress for me. Yeah.
It is. I will say that, you know, you can get lucky and unlucky in these situations. It really does depend. You know, people are people. We know, you know, with students, you know, with you know, shops you go to, restaurants, you know, every day you come across people, and you know, some people are easy to work with, some people are seem disinterested or disengaged. So there's a whole range of people out there, and I take every individual one at a time. So you know, I don't look at even if you have a bad run, if you have a couple of bad real estate agents that really aren't helpful, it's just like anything, it's just bad luck. I think that you're going to have to, you know, maybe just keep going until you find the right person in the right place. And when you do, the thing to remember about it is that once you get the right place, chances are you'll be there for 5 or 10 years. Yeah. That won't change. So.
Do you think it's best to have a sort of like, I don't know how to say it. Do you think it's best to be like really in their face and like constantly, what's going on? Give me an update or something like that, or would that make me seem too desperate? You think?
I don't think there's any one answer here. I think you need to play it based on who you're dealing with. You know, it'd be a bit like saying, you know, should I deal with every student the same way? Everybody has different personalities. Some people you need to be kind of gentle with. Some people you need to be forward with. Some people you need to be strict with. Some people you can be more relaxed with. So it really, yeah, it's going to depend on each case. And I today, and this question seems to have come up today, which is a good one. I know because Joachim has sort of posted in the group and about, you know, I think his question was targeted towards, you know, we talked this in the earlier hangout about ringing up old inquiries, getting on the phone and actually following up on them, but that being the best thing that you can do in terms of you know, getting new students. Go to your inquiry list because these are people who have already inquired with you. So he's got on there and he said he made about 50 phone calls today, and he's got 2 people who seem very keen. So great result, and I don't know how long it took him to make 50 phone calls, but he's done it in, you know, whatever time he had available today. So, but then he asked me, how often should I follow up? And then my answer to that was, well, there are no rules. It just depends on, who you're speaking to. So, in the case of right across the board, and I had Ryan, who's here tonight as well, talking about his situation. Should I call the agent, because he's in a similar situation as you, and he's just got the property, just got the green light on it that he applied for. But he was, earlier today and yesterday, I think he was hanging on to, wanting to know and asking me, should I ring the guy? Should I follow up? What should I do? How can I sort of, stay calm while I'm waiting to see if I get the approval? And it's kind of, so what I'm getting at here is the conversation of how do you deal with people, what do you say? And there's, I don't know if any of you are familiar with NLP, but it stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming, and it's very popular among the kind of the guru, motivator coaches that are sort of around today, maybe those who are sort of my age and older. It's still very popular, but my age and older, it was the thing to do back in that, I think sort of the 80s maybe was when it was big. But what it is it teaches you how to understand people, how to understand the tone of their voice, their body language, the kind of words they use, and not only how they do, but how you talk to them. And the way that you present yourself, the way that you use your language, the tone in your voice. We know this as musicians. We know the difference between playing a song and feeling a song, like really getting the emotion across. And it's the same in your speech and the way that you talk to people and present yourself. And it's in a sense, it's even an extra dimension to what music is, because when we're talking to people, there's also the body language of what we're doing. We can see that in a performer, of course, but when we're listening to the music, we're hearing the music, we're not actually necessarily seeing the person and the body language. So in the case of, working with you, I think definitely everyone should check out NLP and get an idea of it, even just to understand the basics of it and become more aware of the way that you present yourself on every level, and understand the person that you're dealing with on every level. And then your interactions and your outcomes will improve, because everybody is a person, everybody's emotional, everybody responds to certain stimuli. There are certain cues and giveaways that people have, to certain kinds of behavior. We know, you think about yourself, when somebody seems a little bit weird or crazy or even dangerous, you pick up on those signs. You know, we all know. And so these are the things that they're the kind of the alarm bells that have. But if you take it to another level, then it's also about whether someone is giving us the cold shoulder, or whether or not they're not taking us seriously, as you pointed out there. And what should we do? What is it that they're not taking seriously about me? Is it the tone of my voice? Is it the way I talk? Is it the way I look? What is it? And really start to look at yourself and analyze yourself to sort of come down on where you need to improve. So does that help, Shane?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So definitely check out NLP and see if you can get an idea, because through your business activities and just generally through success in life, it really comes down to the way you interact with people. That's the bottom line. If you think about it, most of what you're going to do is going to come down to interaction between people. You can be the smartest person on the planet. You can have all the technical knowledge in the world, but if you're not good with interacting with people, it's going to be hard for you to get places in life. It's going to be difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's definitely going to be difficult. I remember that there was a guy in the US who was recorded as having the highest IQ. I can't remember what his IQ was, but it was off the rip of the scale. It was just apparently the highest IQ, and it was discovered in his 20s or something, from memory. And they went back and sort of said, "Where is this guy now?" And he's broke. He's dead broke, living in some squalor in the US somewhere. So it's just an example of how the highest IQ is not going to not going to help you if you don't have social skills, and that's what he lacked. He didn't have social skills. Cool. Okay, so I'll move on. So Ryan, did you have a question? Is Ryan still there? Looks like he's disappeared. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you there, Ryan? So did you have a question, Ryan? Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. What was the question?
No, did you have a question?
Oh, did I have a question?
Yeah. Something that you wanted to discuss, a topic.
Where do you even start? Gosh, that's all right. I guess the one thing was because after talking about the lease and all that sort of stuff with the real estate agent, they said, okay, it's basically going to be like a 3-month down payment or something like that for the bond, 1 month advance or something like that. But then I went and spoke to some other businesses that are around the area, like in Maroubra Beach and stuff like that, just kind of like conversation, and asked, oh, so how much was it for you, and how long, how big was the bond? And they were like, oh yeah, I had to pay a month. You guys have to pay 3 months? That's incredible. I was like, oh, okay. And also some businesses even said, oh yeah, we managed to get 3 months for free to start off. But I guess that's maybe because you're signing a longer contract, I was assuming. But I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, everything's open for discussion. That's the thing with leases, is especially in business, when you're talking real estate, renting a home, there's a high demand for rental homes and property, especially in Sydney. So, you know, they don't need to bend. All they say is you need to pay. And in most cases, when you're renting a home in Sydney, I think it's a month's bond anyway. But when it comes to commercial premises, the standard is 3 months. That is the standard. But if they're desperate to get someone in there, or they're finding it's hard to lease out, especially in a slow economy, then they might they might negotiate on it. What you can say to them is because obviously you want the place, you set on it. Just say to them, look, we are doing it tough. We're going to be doing it tough, really tight here. Is there any chance that that we could do 2 months on the lease, 2 months bond or less, because it'll just make it easier for us and give us a better chance of turning this into a success story. And then you win, we win, everybody wins, So.
Yeah. I guess it's an interesting kind of just thing, is just being honest. I think just be straight up and honest. I got friends that have said it all the time, and I would say that it works out really well. I think a lot of times it's kind of the fear is, if I'm overly honest, then I'm exposing too much about my weaknesses or something like that. But I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're right. I've always taken the honest approach. I've always, just said my position and tried to appeal to, their honesty. And sometimes you get taken advantage of. It happens.
Yeah.
But I think overall you win out. And if you're honest in your dealings with everybody. I talk about things like what would you do if you found money, right? If you found a wallet with money in it, what would you do? And that really defines who you are. Are you going to take that money and find the person? Are you going to take it into the police? Even if it doesn't have a name in it, are you going to do that, or are you going to just keep it because there's no name in there in cash? What are you going to do? And I think if you take the policy, and this is something, I guess my parents and my grandparents taught me, is always do the right thing. Always do what you feel morally is the right thing to do. And if I found money in a wallet or did anything like that, I would just take it to the police, or wherever I was, I would take it to whoever was in charge. Because morally that's the right thing to do. I'm not thinking about karma or anything, on a higher level. I'm just thinking about the fact that if you do the right thing, then you can go home and sleep at night, every night. Just take that approach. That be honest with the people you're dealing with, and if you get ripped off and whatever occasion, you're going to find out who you're dealing with. You're going to. Well, now I know who I'm dealing with. I know what these people are like. So I know that I don't want to do any more dealings with them. I want to stay away from these kind of people. Yeah.
But I guess going through a real estate agent like Rain and Horn, or like the larger sort of, I guess, franchises, is pretty safe in a sense, isn't it?
Very safe, very safe. I think it's better to go through an agent because they have a reputation in the community to uphold.
All right.
So, because there are lines there where it's not about honesty or moral integrity. It's simply about what people believe that they can get away with or not get away with, even though there's no rule there to say that they can do that. And so there are people who go over and above what they need to, and they're great people to deal with. And when you're dealing with an agent, I can tell you from experience that when I've dealt directly with landlords, they're more extreme. When you deal with direct with a landlord, you get more of an extreme case. You get they're either really good, like amazing, and some of them, my best landlords have been just amazing. Like they're just great people. They can't do enough for you. And then the other extreme where they won't do anything, they won't fix anything. They'll try and get you to pay for everything. They'll just take you through the cleaners, and that's because often, I just put it down to their own bad experiences. They've probably had some really bad tenants over the years, and now they're just, dirty on anyone who they don't trust anyone, so they take them. But who knows their story? I don't pretend to know their story, but what I do know is that when you go through agents, it's more professional. There's a standard. They're not always going to bend over backwards for you, but at the same time, they're going to play fair and play by the rules.
Yeah, I get you. I guess that's an interesting question. Going into a new place, what are the things that I should really be looking at, just be aware of, just to cover my ass in a sense? Just maybe aesthetically or something like that going into commercial lease.
Sorry, I think you cut out a bit there. What was the question?
Basically, my question was just things to be aware of, just like as actually going into the lease, actually leasing the property, going in there, and they go, oh, okay, here's the key, and then so just to ensure that next week they don't come after you about like, oh, you broke this, and it's like, wait a minute, no, I didn't.
Yeah. So it's really worth doing a thorough inspection when you go in there and point out the things that you can see. Do everything from looking for watermarks on the ceiling to see if there's been any water leaking. Get down on your hands and knees and smell the carpet and see if anything's rotting under it, or check the toilet. One place that we moved into, we didn't check the toilet, and when we went in there, it wasn't working. The flush wasn't working on it, and so then we said, "Hey, it's not working," and they said, "Well, it was working last week." And it's like,
right, yeah.
We just moved in here. We haven't touched it.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So cool. Check everything, test everything, and then question everything, and then go around with a video camera and film it. Film every detail, every little thing that you've got there. Put it up on YouTube so it's dated, and then send them a copy and say, here's a link to the YouTube video I did of the inspection. Just so you guys have got a copy of it as well.
That is very thorough. That is a great way of doing it. Gosh, yeah, I like that. I would almost feel like, I'd feel uncomfortable. The whole idea of recording it and then putting it on YouTube. But if you say so, it's a.
Yeah, you don't have to list it. You can put it as unlisted. Just give them a link to it. Just say, here's a link. And all you have to say to them is just, I've been advised by, the head of G4 to do this, and I'm just following the rules. It protects you, it protects me, everybody's safe. Now we know, we're not going to get to the end of the lease and you're going to say, hey, you did this, and then because he can go back to the video, or he or she who is the agent can go back to the video as well and go, hang on, look, that wasn't there. That big picture of Jimi Hendrix wasn't there, when you moved in. Now you're claiming that that it was. So they've got the evidence as much as you have, so it's good for both parties.
Yeah, great.
Cool, excellent. Paul, what would you like to bring up today?
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, great. Excellent.
Yeah, brilliant. I have a few questions just for the young beginner course. So I noticed on an old checklist I was using, under rhythm it said clap all exercises from lesson 1. I think this must be obviously an updated one because it says clap just the first exercises 1 to 4. Yeah?
Yes.
And then on the second checklist it's then lessons 2, sheet number 2 from the rhythm book. So I was wondering, is that a misprint? Should it be on the second Young Beginner checklist to finish off the lesson 1?
It sounds like it, doesn't it? Just let me have a look.
Ones.
So Young Beginner. Yeah, 1 second. Okay, so we're over here. Get this open. Sorry, just take me a sec to find it.
That's right. Sorry, Dave. I meant to email this to you, but I meant to early in the week. But
yeah, it's probably something. Yeah, it'd be good for an email. All right, so we're looking at checklist number 1 for the Young Beginner, and clap lesson 1 exercises 1 to 4 from rhythm book. Okay, yeah. So I think what originally was there was just level 1. Originally that was all there was. We didn't have a level 2, and then I think when we made level 2, we didn't take that into consideration. We just lesson 1. So I think probably what we need to do is for Young Beginner level 1, just take away the 1 to 4, and it can just be clap lesson 1 exercises, because I think it's fine for them to clap all the exercises on lesson 1. So
okay,
yeah, we'll do that. If I forget, let me know.
No worries.
Cool.
Yeah,
Did you have anything? Yep, something else? Yep.
Sorry, Dave. Yeah, just the reading, the whole of progressive guitar method for the Young Beginner seems quite a lot. Because I've got a few people on it. We're there now with everything else. It's just the reading, and you're putting in the D7 chords. You're reading quite high up. It seems quite a lot to get.
Sorry, which level are we talking?
Young Beginner level 2. So reading the whole of the PGM, the Young Beginner book.
Okay. Let's have a look.
So I quite like how the Young Beginner, you get them on the chords, you get them used to scale, and then they hit the junior course, and they've already started it, so it's kind of a nice, easy transition. The reading requirement just seems quite high.
Yeah.
The D7 chord, being one of them.
So what we could do, because I'm really, I base this off of Mia, and obviously, working with Mia is a bit different because I was working with her every day, whereas, an average student, you're not working with them every day. They're turning up for a lesson once a week, and the parents kind of helping them at home. So it's not out of their reach to get through this. But it is one of those things that, I guess I've got to work on it to really make that level. So what we could do, and I'll get your input on this. Maybe if you could put together for me how you would split the Young Beginner level, or how you would do a level 2. If you could tell me how you would present it. And that way I can sort of look at it and get an idea based, because you're there in the front line, obviously, and I really only experimented with this with Mia because I didn't have a Young Beginner when I was teaching. I only had the junior program and the senior program. Yeah, the Young Beginner came later, and I did use the Young Beginner 1 with Mia when I first started her, so I know it, but I never used the level 2 on her. I just finished that first PGM with her when she was still 4, I think, and then moved her on to the full PGM. So. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's working really well. So the guy I've got on it, he's my first one to kind of get to near the end. Where's my mouse gone? There it is. It's just literally the reading. We've ticked everything else off, and I'm kind of eager to get him onto the junior course. But I'm kind of thinking, well, we probably should finish the reading. It's just quite a lot of reading, I suppose. Though maybe I've not introduced it quick enough. I don't know if I'm a bit. Yeah, so I suppose that's really the worry.
Yeah, look, I also think that some kids take to the reading quicker. They get into it, they really start to go down that thing. So, but I guess we sort of need to angle it towards somewhere in the middle. We can't have it just to those students who are going to be eager to do reading. We've got to sort of find that middle ground somewhere. So yeah, so if you can give me an idea of where you would take it to, even if you think that there should be a Young Beginner level 3, I tend not to want to go beyond 2 because I think they're ready for junior level 1.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to do 2 young beginners and then go straight on to junior 1.
Cool.
What is it? I'm just trying to remember that with that young beginner. What's it get to by the end of it? What notes are you playing?
I think you've pretty much done. I haven't got one here. It's all the because we've just got to just bring in the D7 chord. So obviously it's 3-finger chords. But I think it's pretty much the whole
chord.
G to G scale, isn't it?
I think it's
Yeah. Sorry?
I think it's the G to G, and as Paul said, I think it's around halfway you get the D7 chord. They don't leave it very late.
Right.
Also, I do have an idea for the reading, maybe. Remember, David, I've got that list of songs from scale degrees. So once we turn that into notation, I'm sure we'll be able to find some kind of public domain songs that would easily fit. Because, I mean, some of the rhythms on them can be a bit tricky. But if you play Row Your Boat slowly, it's still just ding, 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 ding. I reckon that would be manageable for some students. And we don't have to write the rhythms properly. We could write it just as notation and they can follow the notes. I was thinking that you can get some smaller, if we do use some of those songs, it would be a much smaller reading task there. And it would be more likely to get them more enthused about reading than you now have to read the whole book and that's the only thing left before the checklist's over.
Yeah, I did find though with the younger kids they really like the book. They like the idea of the working through a book and the coloured animals and all the rest of it. So yeah, I would aim at keeping them within the book. I'm just thinking about really how to get them to the end of that book, the young beginner book, in the reading. Maybe we just need to talk about the strategies a bit more. How long did it take you to finish level 1, Paul, with the student?
Only maybe when did he start? So he was on the original open day, which was back in March. So maybe about 3-4 months, maybe.
Okay.
Just over that.
So maybe it would be a good idea to split it into 2. So we've got 3 levels of the young beginner, so that they can sort of move through them quicker. So by the end of level 3, they've finished that young beginner's book. But what we do is sort of split up some of the exercises. The level, where we've got it. You might even be able to add some other things here if you like. A couple more songs, maybe from Ben's list. We could throw a couple of songs on there to give them a couple of extra ones. On level 3, they could maybe even do Jingle Bells or something of that nature.
It kind of sounds like you're looking to finish the book, David. But if we're just looking to get them prepared for J1, I don't think you need anywhere near the whole book, because obviously, if the whole book is the full G to G, then that means you're already at level 3 lesson 3, which is senior 1 for the reading.
Yeah, it's
finish there too, and they're already at senior 1 for the reading. Seems a bit of a mismatch.
Yeah. I think you kind of got to finish the book because you've got to give them that feeling of completion. We can't sort of say, okay, we're only halfway through this book, we don't need it anymore. We want the kids to feel that there's level of completion. And I don't mind the overlap, and that's what I've done all along. If you look at the way that the kind of junior overlaps to senior, if someone did all 7 junior levels, they would be well into the senior levels. And it's the same in Australia. I'm not quite sure what it's like in the UK, but here in Australia they have the AMEB exams, and they have what I originally did was reverse engineered from the AMEB exams, where they're called advancing. So they have these kind of lower levels for piano, but they don't have it for guitar. They only have advanced levels for guitar for some reason. And so what happened was that I sort of looked at that and thought, this is something that you'd need to have been playing guitar for at least a year. If you're a good student, you need to be at it for at least a year, because their first exam, what they call advancing, is equivalent to about our senior level 3. So what happened? What I did was design it so that by the time they'd finished, originally it was 3 senior levels, but by the time they'd finished level 3, they were ready for AMB level 2 exam, and there's 4 exams. So that way, what I wanted to do was to do the first exam, but to look at it and go, this is easy. I can do this standing on my head. So that's what I wanted. And so by doing that, they get this kind of feeling. You know, if someone finishes that, we've got a young beginner finishes that book, and then we present this is the junior level. This is for the older kids. That they get very excited about that. They look and go, oh, I can do this. You know, this is easy. And so they're already up and rolling. And it's almost like revising. You go back over the kind of easier things that they can do, and so you start ticking boxes and they start moving through it and get excited. So yeah, I have no problem with overlapping, and I am all for the completion. So yes, we're going to finish this book. We started it and we're going to get to the end of it. Yeah. So yeah, Paul, if you want, if you got any ideas to break it into an extra level, so we've got 3 levels for young beginner, no problem at all.
Okay.
Cool.
Any
other?
That's about it. Yeah. I think the main thing is just the D7 chord. It's a tough chord. You know, it comes in, I think, junior level 5. It's just quite a big jump.
Well,
so why don't you be approached maybe with 2 fingers, or maybe just saying, "There's your fingers. We're not going to worry about the tone." You know, just have a crack at it, sort of thing, and move quickly on.
It's something you can leave out. You know, as much as I said about completing everything, it's one of those things you can just say to parents, whoever. You know, one of the things about this book is this D7 chord. It's too hard for a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old. So we don't do it. We do it later in the junior level. So don't worry about it. Let's just move on. So you can do that, you know, because we're using that book, and if there's something about it that we don't necessarily like, it's the same with the PGM. You know, the main one, we add extra exercises in that, and you would say to parents and students that the book doesn't give you enough. We have to provide some extras to fill in those gaps.
Cool.
Excellent. Okay, cool. All right, so yeah, I'll move on to Ben, and then if anyone else has more questions, we can come back. So Ben, what would you like to talk about today?
I guess the main thing I'm wondering is there a specific pattern we've got for people who don't want to pay online or over the phone? Because I've had a second person ask whether they can come round and pay, and they arranged to come round yesterday, and of course they didn't turn up. They texted me saying they can't come that day, can we come the next day? And I've said they could come this afternoon, but unless you say it's a bad idea, I'm deciding from now on I'm never going to let anyone do that, because it's just always wasting half an hour for what, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in a row, and then they still don't ever turn up. So
yeah,
it just seems like the biggest waste of time that I've got so far.
Yeah, and it comes back to this thing we've sort of raised before, where if they're not even willing to follow your payment policy, they're probably not going to follow a lot of other policies as well. You're going to find that it's going to be on ongoing. You know, they don't want to. They want makeups. They don't want to practice. They don't want to fill in the practice log. They tend to go hand in hand. But it's not necessarily that they're that kind of person. You know, I don't think of people in that sense that they're that kind of person. Everybody has the potential to be a good student, or you know, a good customer, a good client, or a bad customer, or a bad client, or a student. Everyone has the potential to be either. And what often determines the potential is how we set it up in the very beginning. And you know, I can bring that again back to any relationship. The way that you sort of lay down the ground rules of any relationship from the beginning is what tends to play out over time. And although you can steer it back on track, and you can certainly mend you know, situations, relationships, it's a lot easier to do it right in the beginning, to lay down what you expect. And so if someone says to me, look, you know, I can't pay by PayPal, I don't have any, you know, one of those accounts, and I don't trust them, and this and that and the other, my response is, yeah, I know, I understand. It's you know, I understand some people don't trust PayPal. Unfortunately, it's all we accept. But look, if the situation changes, let me know. Thanks for your call. And that's it. That's all I say. And often they'll either double take. Okay. Well, look. Let me see what I can. Let me work it out. or they'll just go, oh, thanks anyway, see you later. But either way, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. That's the way I operate. That's the way I roll.
It's just not worth the hassle.
It's not worth it. And it's just going to be much easier on you because they always end up being the, not always, but most of the time they end up being the one that becomes a problem anyway. So.
Yeah. Cool.
Can I just butt in on that for a second?
Yes, Shane. Yep.
Well, thanks to Paul. I've been using Acuity scheduling. It's the best thing ever. It really is.
Right there.
Because.
Thank you, Paul. That was definitely Paul's contribution. I had nothing to do with that. Fantastic.
Just let them know. You click on the day, and I've had people do it with me while I'm on the phone with them. Say, just click on the time you want, and when you pay, it's confirmed, and that's it. And they can use a credit card. They don't even have to sign up for PayPal to do that, and then I can get them on subscription later. I use GoCardless for subscriptions anyway, so it's been Acuity scheduling.
It makes your life easy.
Recommended enough.
Yeah, and that's what building a business is all about. It's all about setting up systems, and as you create systems, your business becomes a better business. A business that doesn't have systems is not a business. It's a bunch of people or a person kind of holding things together. As soon as that person takes a holiday or walks out the door, it all collapses. And what you want, and what your best students want for you as well, is for you not to be having to chase money, not to be having to spend all your time administering your business. What you want to be doing is to be free of all that and to be doing whatever you do best, and developing your business. Again, I spoke about this earlier, but I'll just sort of cover it again quickly, is that there are the two highest jobs within your business, the jobs, I'm talking about the actual working the jobs, the technician, if you like, from the E-Myth. The two main jobs are selling and teaching. They're the two positions you need to give up last. So you do want to give them up eventually, but they're the last positions to go. So you hire for everything else, and then you hire for a teacher, and then you hire for a salesperson, and it should be done in that order. But what happens to most people in business is they try and, think about it from this point of view, they try and put a teacher in or a salesperson, because a teacher is still a salesperson. They're selling the method every week. If they don't do a good presentation, they don't keep people inspired and interested like a salesperson does, then you're not going to have many students. So, but what they tend to do is they replace themselves very quickly with a teacher, and things stop. Things come to a grinding halt because the teacher is not qualified, they don't have enough training, whatever, or there are just not enough systems in place to make it work. The training is not provided at a high enough level for them. So by putting in the systems, then you're going to spend the majority of your time, once, let's say, you get all that done and you've got someone who's teaching and you've got someone who's selling, then your time is now spent on developing the business and growing the business and making it a better business. And that's where I spend 80% of my time. Most of my time recently is spent working on this FileMaker platform, because it's a lot of work. I won't go into it, but it's like composing for an orchestra. It's a massive job. You've got to get every little part right. Everything's got to work, and you do this part, and if that doesn't work, then it makes everything else fall apart. So you've got to get everything working together, and when you make one change, sometimes you've got to go right through everything to make sure how it's going to affect everything. So that's where I know that we're working on that. By the time it gets to you guys, and we've beta tested and all, what's going to happen is that you guys are going to be much more productive, and everybody wins. So that's developing your business. And what you want to do is make sure that that's what you're working towards, that you're not caught up in sort of administering your business. And that's when someone comes to you and says something as innocently as, "Oh, can I come and pay you cash? Is that okay? I don't really want to use PayPal." That's just going to eat away at your time, your very valuable time. and that's something you do not want. So what that person's doing is quietly destroying your business and destroying your dream of building your business. So it's not their fault, because you've got to allow them in the door, but that's them coming knocking, and they're really the kind of situations that you want to put a stop to as early as possible. Cool. I think we've got that one done.
Yeah. Can I ask a question about the Acuity?
Yes. Maybe Paul's a better man to answer on that one.
Well, the theory you might join in with as well, because the main reason I haven't gone for it yet is because I'm worried about it looking too empty. Because my Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday is fine. I've got loads of lessons for the groups, but my intros are normally pretty sparse because I've got Friday and Saturday exclusively for intros. I never fill out both days there. Do you have the same thing, Paul, or?
I'll let Paul answer. Yeah, you go, Paul. Oh, his mute's still on.
So I can unmute. I think I was using the wrong shortcut. I just didn't list them, because as an admin you can put time slots in time slots that don't exist, so you can manually add someone wherever you want, but then just not show that online, if that makes sense. So if you could have underneath it, if a time slot doesn't work, give us a ring, but only then show up a couple of hours. They can actually do. So that's what I'd do. Just not list them all. Okay, just limit the numbers and hope that those numbers match up with what they can do. Yeah, and if they can't do it, then just say, if there's something online that you can't, if the time doesn't work, give us a ring. We might be able to squeeze you in somewhere, sort of thing. Cool. I don't know. If you're worried about that. That sounds like a good option. I don't know if I'll do it straight away, though. Maybe once I've got a few more filled in the intros, because when I'm just scared about going, you've got this time, and this time, then they ring up and go, well, what about this time? It says it's booked. I'm like, oh yeah, of course, that's fine. It's not booked. That was all just fake. Yeah, I'd just go with Paul. What Paul's saying is just put up the times that that you think gives them a fair choice. You don't have to put up the whole menu. Just put up say 5 or 6 times, and you could even let them know when anyone inquires, if you can't find a suitable time here, pop me an email and I'll see what I can do. Cool. We can make arrangements sometimes. Paul, just on that, while we're talking Acuity, once someone books in on there, do you transfer them to another timetable, like a spreadsheet, or what do you do? If someone books on Acuity, that's my 5-week intro. It's linked to my iCal on my phone, so it emails me every day as well what's happening that day. 5 intros. The only thing I do is then put them on a booking sheet, so I've got then I can see when they've started, how long they've been a student for, if they've then transitioned into group for long term. So that's the only other thing I go on from there, is put it on my Excel file. Okay, so for your groups, you kind of just block out those times so that they just don't appear. It's not even there. Yep. So the only thing publicly you could see on Acuity are my 3 days I do for intros. That's it. Cool. And they don't have access to in my group days. So when you want to look at your overall timetable, you're looking at a spreadsheet? Yeah. Okay, excellent. Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to get an idea, because obviously what we're going to do is, once we bring in the FileMaker, what's going to happen is that you'll be able to put your intros on there, and you'll want to put them on there because it'll link all up to printing out the confirmations and so forth. So it'll have, once you put them into that time slot, that time will then appear on a confirmation that you send to them. Yeah, a lot more streamlined. Yeah. Just I don't know, and I don't have any sort of immediate plans for this, but as far as connecting it to something online where people can book in, I know there's things that can be built, but that's not urgent for me. Acuity's doing a great job, so I just wanted to see where you're at with that. So, okay, cool. Does anyone else have a question? We've got 10 minutes still. No, we're all good. All right. Well, what I'll do then.
Hang on, sorry, David.
Yeah, Shane, go.
It's that darn mute button. I never get it in time. Yeah, I was just wondering if anybody's seen that Silent Night chord melody thing I did, and if anybody's tried it with their students. So it's just trying to see if it's been successful in any way or not.
I saw it and I liked it. So, anyone else seen it? It's good.
Nope, nobody. Okay.
Sorry, Jane.
I was just wondering, because I've been basically trying. I've just been experimenting. I've been trying it with every one of my students that are senior level 1 or junior level 2 and higher, and just kind of seeing who can do what. And I mean, basically, like, you know, the lower levels can just do the melody, but I've found that anybody like senior level 2 or junior level 3 or higher can actually do the chord melody, which they find quite pleasing because it seems kind of hard, but it's actually not that difficult.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I really like it because it's impressive. You know, people who, when you're teaching it to the student, it's quite simple because it's no harder than playing chords. It's just, you know, that's all it is. It's really chords any way you want to look at it. But when they can do it and play it, you know, even just a little bit of it for their friends and family, yeah, it's kind of impressive. So yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking of making more things like that, like I don't, you know, usually do sheet music for songs, but maybe just on special occasions. One's particularly seems like it could use the sheet music.
Yeah, I think if you could, the sheet music go with it, that would definitely help.
Yeah. Well, there is the sheet music to that one with all the chords.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. I even made a chord diagram for every single chord. So like for a G chord with D in the lead and G chord with B in the lead, and so you've got all those different voicings.
If you put a link in the actual video, you know how to do that? Put the link underneath.
No.
Just put it into the description. Make sure you get the full link to your website, or you can even have a web page where they can download. And you can just have whatever you like. It could either be they go to your page, and if they give you their email address, you'll send them whatever they want, so you at least get their email address. But you know, they're good things to, you know, I don't know about on a small scale where you are, but it's a good way to get people's email addresses. But you don't even have to do that if you don't want to. If you just want to have it so there's a link there, people can go and download a copy of the sheet music. Yeah.
Yeah, because I put it in all the posts that I made, the PDF, but I'll put the link in the video as well.
Yeah. It could even go straight to a PDF where it downloads directly, you know, off, not even on your website. It could download from Box or you know, Dropbox or something like that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll try to work that out.
Excellent. All right. All right. So any other questions? Because if not, I can.
Can I quickly jump in, Dave? Sorry.
Yeah, for sure.
Just really quickly. So after me and you and I think Jay were chatting, I realised, I've missed some updates. So I jumped online and saw that all the chord sheet or chord book now is in levels and things, which is a lot better. Is there a junior one as well? So when someone's on junior level 1, you give them just obviously the junior level 1 chords, and so forth.
Not yet. What I kind of plan to do is get them eventually, and it won't be. I'm putting it all on hold, to be honest, until next year. I think we've got enough development on the method that, you know, although the chords are not exactly synced to the junior, they are to the senior. It's still all workable. It's still all there, and you can just say to students that, you know, it's synced to the senior levels, but these are the chords you're learning for the junior level. I think it's pretty good the way it is, and I will get back to it. But my first priority right now is going to be to get this FileMaker done, because otherwise it's not going to happen. We're going to be 2017 before we see it, and it's really priority one. I'm just really putting everything else on hold. So yeah, if you can just make the most of what we've got there for now, that should work fine. But eventually what's going to happen is that we're going to get things into levels so that it won't be that you get these extra books for the chords or whatever. You'll just have junior level 1, junior level 2, junior level 3, and everything will be in there. So you'll just print out that whole thing, and it will have everything that they need in one place.
Cool.
Yeah. And you can even play with it now if you want. If for anybody who's sort of a bit anxious to get something more organized like that, then you can chop and change things. You can make up a sheet that's just got the chords for that level very easily. It shouldn't take much that way if you so desire. But it's really well set out for most of it, for the most part.
Cool.
Okay, cool. Any other questions? No, we're all good. All right, so what I'll do then is I just want to sort of see if I can give you a quick update on where we are with everything, and just because
screen share, David.
Yeah, I'll do a screen share. I'll just bring it up and then I'll do the screen share because I find that it's good just to get some feedback from you guys from week to week, or where we've got time. All right, so here we go.
A quick question, David, while you do.
Sure, go for it.
Listening to Start With Why and the referral engine, and based on the kind of chats you have with Emma, things like the tell your story stuff, trying to get a rough idea of what I think G4 is all about, and like our kind of mission statements and stuff. And I was wondering if we could have maybe a hangout, maybe just a thread on the Facebook, and just get what everyone else thinks of it, because I think I've probably got what you might agree with, but maybe not. It would be good to kind of find out what everyone thinks the purpose of it is. Is it to get you playing as quick as possible? Is it to make it as simple as possible? It's all to get you playing guitar well soon, but it'd be interesting to see what people's views are on the main purpose of it, and I want to incorporate some few sentences like that into my little tell your story bit.
Yeah, I mean, just to sum it up very quickly from my point of view, and I think that might be something worth putting into the Facebook group to sort of see, because there are other people who don't come to the Hangouts or whatever who might be able to sort of add to that. And from my point of view, what we're trying to do is get a beginner, an absolute beginner from 0 to say 100 as quickly as possible. We're trying to build a Ferrari. So we want the acceleration of them getting from start to finish, but we want to do it right. So it's not about compromising. It's not about getting them through all the levels as quickly as possible by compromising. It's about making sure that they're efficient. So G4 is all about efficiency. We want a method that's so lean that they're just doing the things that are going to get them to where they need to be as quickly as possible. But of course, we're also keeping them motivated, keeping them wanting to do it as well. So it's a balance. So there's a balance of psychology and speed and efficiency and all that. So that's my take on it anyway.
Cool. Yeah, it'll be good to see if anyone see everyone's input on that.
Yeah. Just maybe put up in the group, and we can always extend it as well into chats. So now, can you see that now? The screen? Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So where are we? Just hang on 1 second. Okay. So I'll just go into the contacts here. So what I've got here is that the color of the name changes depending on the status of it. So if I go through others, you can see an inquiry, and it's got status down here. Inquiry, it just goes grey, whereas when it's somebody who's booked, then it goes the orange color, and then when there's Shane, when it goes to current, in other words, they're in a group, then it goes to blue, and then the other color is green. I'm sure everyone there, but green is when they are at a intro level, so they're paid, but they haven't actually finished the intro. So that's what happens there. Now, when I go into, say, creating a new student, and I won't do it because it'll take a little bit too much time. But what I'll do is I'll just go back to here, say Chris here, and if I go into his details, this would be like booking him in. So I've got his details there, and then what's happening here, Ben, which you might find good because you kind of helped me to sort of get this thinking about this. But you can see here now that I've got the adult with the question mark. So if they're an adult and you click yes, can you'll see the difference between yes and no, how it expands out.
I like it. That's really good.
Yeah, cool. So now when we've got they're an adult, then you just put in their contact details. There's a second contact if you want to add, whatever, a second phone number. But when they're a child, the no, and it will default to no. So when you create a card, it'll say no, so it'll open up to all that. But if they're an adult, yeah, you can just do that, and that closes down.
It might be obvious based on the email you put in for the second contact, but a few of my adult students, I've got, for example, there's a couple of guys, and it's their wife's the second contact.
Yep.
Might it be easier to just leave in the drop downs and have student as a list from the drop downs? So contact 1 is student when they're an adult, but then you still have the option of contact 2 spouse.
So in here, you could, I don't know, I guess that
Does more than one contact detail for adults, or not really? I mean, so contact details for one adult student.
I mean, you do occasionally get it, but you could easily put in here, right, something like that, and then put in, if you wanted to add that. But
yeah, that would do it. I guess you're not desperate to have to be able to click on that email link. You can just.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about. Really, what I'm thinking about is just whether or not if we had the relationships here on the adult, whether it'd be confusing. If that makes sense. If I had a relationship, it's like, well, relationship to who? That would be a bit confusing. I guess you could have a relationship on that contact, but I don't know. Does anyone else want to chime in on that? Anyone else got any thoughts?
Well, I don't know. I have had a wife. There are obviously situations where wife calls up before the husband, but yeah, I don't know. If you got the contact 1, contact 2, I guess it kind of works. With that, that's enough, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we could put in another field there that says who they are, like for contact 2, where it's got email, phone number, maybe at the bottom there it could say relationship to that person. Anyway, I'll think about that. Yeah, that's good. Keep the ideas coming. So don't let my whatever put you off making suggestions. I'm just sort of thinking out loud as much as you guys are, and I do hear what you're saying, and I sort of take it into consideration. So in this case, just so once we've got the details in there, and come over here. If it's an inquiry, then what happens is that it looks like this. It just says bookings, book a time for Chris Gatto. So over here, in order to book, it says select booked or intro. So without that, there'll be no booking space here. So once I go in here and I go down to booked, intro, or intro, so it's got to be one of those two, then what happens is that then this icon find a time appears. So then it's just select find a time. I click on that, and can you see here? It's this is for the email, by the way. I've set it up so you've got to have an email address in there.
See that, David? It's like the drop-down menus. When you click find time, nothing pops up.
All right. You can't see that one. Okay, no worries. All right, so don't worry. I'll just hang on 1 second. Record. All right. So it takes me to, when I go to find a time, it takes me to this screen. And I don't know. Sorry, hang on. I'll just go back to Chris again here. All right. So yeah. So we go into booked. And so it's basically here saying booking for Chris Gatto, and you got the days along here. You got yes is basically all the time, so every day, whatever, or you can choose a day that you want, and it'll only show you obviously the times that are available, and on that given day. So then you can say choose Monday, choose Tuesday, whatever you like. So let's just say we choose Monday, and we want to put in with Ryan here at 4 o'clock. And then what you do is you choose Chris from the list, which I know you can't see, but I'll do that there. You can see it automatically changes it to no, as we talked about before, but then it goes to the next level, enter starting date for Chris. So then you actually put in the date that he's going to be starting. So let's say he starts on the 14th of December. And then it says click here to prepare confirmation email. You click on that and it takes you to the confirmation email. You can double check all the details here, make sure they're right. And if the payment is due, then you can send that email off just by clicking the email there. If they're, they're paid, then you can click on paid and then send that email instead, so they get the paid version. So that's kind of, I just wanted to show you that, to show you some, just give you a quick idea of the updates on that. Just a couple other things down the side here, is that when you actually, if you go to that student, let's say you've just booked Chris in there and you want to take that time, you want to change his time. He says, oh, hang on, no, that's not the time I want. Can we make another time? Then go to edit details, and then you can say book a new time here. And what that does is that it actually deletes the old time. So basically, whatever time you had there before is gone. And so you can click again. So you don't have to go and find the time and take it off, if that makes sense. Just deletes it automatically.
That does make sense. Does anyone else sometimes let them shuffle around 1 or 2 lessons during the intro? Because I've done that occasionally. For example, they're normally Friday, but lesson 4 we'll do on a Saturday just because they can't make it on the Friday. Yep.
So if you do that, if you're going to have
without erasing.
Yeah, in that case you won't erase their time. So let's say we're here for Chris and we make this time, for Ryan at 4 o'clock, and it goes in there. We set the date of that starting date there, and then we click prepare email. So once you've done all that, then if they say, oh look, week 3, can we do a different day because I can't make that time? Then what you do is you just go to the timetable itself and you say, all right, so you can't make the Monday, what about the Wednesday that week? And then you can just go there and pick a time, whatever time it is, and put them in. Yep. And so they'll go in there. So let's say if I put Chris Gatto there, at the 3 o'clock on that, or the 3:30 on the Wednesday. Now when I go back to contacts and I've got Chris here, by clicking on lesson time, I can actually see the 2 times that he's there. I can see that he's booked in for the Monday at 4 o'clock, and he's also booked in for the Wednesday at 4 o'clock. Now, if you want to create notes on that, that's something I have to think about as well. Because the way this timetable works is it's a kind of a cycle weekly timetable. So if you want to just say that's a one-off there, you're going to have to kind of create a note, I guess, to leave that. I'll have to think about that. Is that something that you guys do as a rule?
I've done it maybe with 1 out of every 4 intros, 1 out of every 5.
Yeah, I do quite often.
Yeah, so you'll book different times for them. Okay, so really what you need, you're going to need here, and I can do that as well, is add something where you can put a note on top of them. But you could also, if you do it, I guess that's more a calendar style, where you're, because the calendar style, which is the idea of booking in someone, say, for the next 10 weeks, or booking them in 5 weeks or whatever. For the intro, the calendar works nicely, but for your groups, they're indefinite. That's the idea, is that they keep coming, so that'll be your group time. I have to think about that as to how you can do that effectively, because if I put that time there, this for Wednesday at Chris on the Wednesday there, what you want to do is know that that's only for 1 week and have the date in there. I guess we could have a date over here where it goes in there. You could say it's just for that particular date, which is a possibility.
We're changing the type of student work for that, so you could have Chris Gatto, but his level is intro alternate or something, and then that gives it a different color for the color coding.
Well, actually, what you yeah, actually you gave me an idea there. What you could do is just so you can tag it here, right? So a tag could simply mean that it's a one-off lesson. So all you need to do once you've tagged it is then go to the student card where it's got the notes in here, and then you could actually have it here that, it could be a type of lesson where in there you put in whatever the date is, and then week 3 coming on the Wednesday thing. That on a to your to-do list, so that just so you can see this as well. But I haven't done it on here, but I've done it on my own, and that's where this to-do list that you have here, that it can actually set it up so on the due date that each day when you load up, it sends out automatic emails to you with anything that's due for that day. So you might have a list of students who are coming casually that day, and then you'll get an email telling you, hey, Chris is coming today at Wednesday, at 3:30. So that's another possibility.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of how it can all work, because you kind of got two opposing concepts here. One is the calendar, which is nice for the casual booking, different appointments, different times. Your dentist, your doctor, all those kind of things. Calendars work very nicely, but class schedules, they work better without a calendar. They work on as if this is the same every week. Having sort of those odd times, it makes it very difficult to run your business, and I think it's better not to work on a calendar idea if you can. When you book people in for your 5-week intro, you really want them to come the same time every week for 5 weeks. I know it sounds like you're kind of pushing into it, but why do you get those scenarios of, first of all, I'll ask you, Ben, and then I'll ask Paul, why do you get those scenarios where people want to come different days, different times through the intro?
Do you mean what do they say, or do you mean what I
mean?
Yeah,
what are the reasons behind it?
Well, the most recent one was before they started the intro. She'd already booked in to do some kind of helping out at the school, after school something event, fair, something like that. And that was already booked in, and they forgot about that when they started the intros.
Yep. Okay. So I think, I rarely did it, to be honest. It was almost always that I booked people in for same lesson every week. I didn't, because I just didn't have enough time most of the time to be doing it anyway. But really what I'd say to you is just whack it on a calendar that, and you can still put them in that time on our one, but what you want to do is just put it on the calendar and say Wednesday, whatever date this student's coming on that day. So
yeah,
that's a workaround, because I don't want to design it for the odd thing, and even something that doesn't really fit the business model either. I want to design it for a business that works, if that makes sense. It's kind of, for lack of a better kind of example, it's a bit like an airline where they don't design their systems to work for individuals. They design it to fill a plane and sell tickets at the cheapest price they can. And so you're going to kind of fit into it. You've got to work around them. You've got to line up for you get your reservation, and you've got to get on the plane at a certain time. You've got to be there at a certain time. You've got to follow all the rules, etc. So it all works to keep an efficient airline running and keep it safe. And that's kind of what I'm looking at, because I know that they're the business models that work, where you create the system and you do your best you can to accommodate people, but it's got to be about accommodating the majority of the people under a system, rather than where you can be flexible. That's great, but if your system doesn't allow for it, and it's time costly for you, because as soon as you book a student, an intro student in, and they say, oh, I need to come on the Wednesday, the 3rd week, and then on the Friday, you booked 3 times. You've just blocked out 3 times for that student, where you can't book another intro in at any of those times. So it's not a good way to go. Paul, have you? What have you said it happens to you? Is that because you're being flexible for people? You're trying to accommodate?
Yeah, Yeah, recent ones. You know, Halloween. There was Halloween pies. So I did Saturday for a little while for the open day. And it seems to be birthday season. So there's quite a few people had birthday parties. So it was just moving earlier in the day or later on the same day. So yeah, a few of those.
Yeah. So it's same again. I would just say try and, you know, if you're booking me on the Wednesday unless I got a birthday, you know, if that's something you think, well, okay, I can't get around it and I really want to, you know, help them out. I don't want to lose a student. Then yeah, I would just say throw it on your calendar, and just make sure you don't book someone else in to that time. But where possible, try and get them in on a day and a time that they can do consistently every week, because it also sets up the idea that they can just change the schedule whenever it suits them. Because once they join your group, they can't be saying, hey, it's my birthday this week, or I've got this on, or I've got that on, so I can't do that. Can I come on a different day? Once you get to 100 students, it's a nightmare. You literally will be a nightmare to manage your business. So you really want to start off, as I say, design your business for success, not for mediocre. So yeah. Cool. Any other questions, topics before we wrap it up?
Well, I'll just chime in on that subject because it's caused me a lot of grief. As you said, it sets the tone of people just thinking they can change the schedule all the time. So what I've done, and there's inevitably that somebody who's like, oh, I can't do this one day. So what I've done is every 5-week intro, I don't book another intro for 6 weeks, and if they can't make a day, I just kind of say, okay, well, I'll just give you a mulligan, but that's it, because there's someone else booked after that.
Yeah.
So that's worked quite well for me, actually, because you're kind of seeming flexible, but there's still a system for it.
You're still consistent, yeah. You're doing the same time. It's just that you've extended it by 1 week. You're saying, look, we don't normally do this, and yeah. I mean, that works.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's worked for me because I think pretty much every student who's successfully changed an intro day doesn't work out in the end.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I experienced that. You know, there was a point I realized that it wasn't working, and I also, there was some very experienced teachers that I met, you know, years ago, who were kind of mentors for me in that sense, where they just didn't. They were, you know, very inflexible in their approach, and at first I thought, you know, is that really the way to go? But then I realized that they had very good businesses, very good students. They never got messed around, and so I thought, well, they must be onto something, and that led me to realizing that it was the way to go. And you really, you know, your business should be designed to work really well, and it's a system, and you think about so many things that work really well. What you'll see people working within the system, because then everybody benefits from the system. If your system it's like the person who won't go on PayPal that you got to chase for money. That's unfair on your other students. Here's one person who takes up, you know, even if it's just half an hour a month of your time that you're not able to spend on the business and for the good of everybody who's attending your school. So the more you can do that, the more you can make sure that your time is not being, even though you think it's just a little thing, if you're doing it all the time, then it adds up. And once you get to 100 students, if you're, you know, 10% of those students are wanting to change their lessons in a week, that's 10 students every week that you're having to reschedule and to work around. So yeah. So
yeah, this is
better not to do it.
Yeah, this is a thing that I'm kind of working with Scott at the moment on, is I guess like helping him to see why it's so important to have that consistency and stuff for the students, and why it seems like inflexible. But the analogy I used him to today was, I said, well, look, imagine if you went to, I don't know, like a great martial arts school, in like the best martial arts school in the world. You'd have the senseis there, and you'd have like the whole culture there. And then imagine if the guy kind of walks in and goes, hey, do you mind if I start half an hour later? Is that okay? I'll be back in 30 minutes. Everyone just look at the guy and be like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see
everyone that wants to be there is there for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, and you really set, you know, all these little things. They send small messages, you know, small messages about the kind of operation that you run, how consistent you are, and a lot of it's subconscious. You know, and I know, you know, in the case of some, you know, you guys, you're very, you want to help, you want to do good things, and you don't want to say no and come off as if you're kind of arrogant and all that. I know that you don't want to do that. But it's a matter of finding that ability to sort of say no, but without coming across as, you know, arrogant in any way. Just deliver. If you have those policies and you know that your policies and they're best for everybody, if you have that kind of concern that this is for everybody, it's not just serving me, it's serving the whole business and every student who comes here, then you find ways to deliver it in a kind of, you know, a compassionate way, if you like, or a nice way. You're not coming across as just selfish and suits you. So therefore, you either do it my way or the highway. It's like, you know, I understand. So I know it comes down to a lot of the time about communicating your policies in a way that people aren't going to be put off. That they're still going to be happy to come and learn with you, and they're not going to be put off by the way that you present your policies. Okay, cool. Better wrap it up, guys. So thank you for coming along. Another good session, and yeah, see you next week or on Facebook in the meantime.
See you, man.
See you later, guys.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
See you later.